Welcome, the anointed ones. When the soul evolves, the environment revolts. This is your great escape. They can't find you now. You felt it deep in your bones. The shifting currents around you, the sudden coldness where there was once warmth, the whispered rumors that trail your steps but never touch your spirit. You've endured the weight of eyes that no longer see you for who you are, and you've sensed the tug of something greater pulling you beyond the confines of every familiar cage. This is not a moment of breaking, that was long ago. This is the quiet unveiling of your sovereignty, and the world is only just beginning to see the shape of your departure. Hidden truths are rising, and tonight you will discover why your silence is the most powerful declaration of all, why your extraction is not escape but elevation, and how your final farewell will forever rewrite the rules of engagement. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video and comment 77 below. They will never see you the same way again, so stay with me until the end to claim the crown you've long been destined to wear. Divine extraction. They feel the tremor of a new current tugging at their spirit, a fierce pull that promises escape from every toxic bond that has weighed them down. You know that ache in your chest when you sense it's time to leave but fear the void that follows. You may lie awake replaying moments when you poured your soul into relationships that drained you, wondering if the cost of departure outweighs the pain of staying. Yet here's what you need to hear. They are not running. They are being magnetically drawn into a destiny that transcends every limit imposed by environments that stifled their growth. This moment matters because it marks the boundary between the world that almost claimed them and the world they were born to build. What you're about to discover will reveal why every closed door was never a rejection but a sacred invitation, why this gravitational pull is proof of a higher calling, and how embracing this extraction will ignite the revolution within you. They have known the frustration of watching their efforts evaporate in arenas that never appreciated their gifts, the confusion of pouring love into spaces that only spit out demands. You remember the times when you stayed up late, crafting your vision in solitude, only to bring it to a setting that dismissed your brilliance. You felt the sting of watching colleagues climb the ladders you built for them, the bitter aftertaste of gratitude that never came. In those hours, your purpose felt obscured, your passion diminished by constant resistance. Those moments of rejection were not isolated incidents but a pattern, an unspoken sign that the world you inhabited could not contain the power you carried. The emotional toll was heavy, heartbreak at every turn, isolation in crowds, and a persistent doubt whispering that perhaps your gifts were never meant to shine so brightly. Yet it was within that crucible of devaluation that the first embers of divine extraction were kindled. What if every moment of being undervalued was part of a secret design to prepare you for this exact pull into destiny? In Zechariah 10 verse 6, a verse many overlook, it is declared, "I will strengthen the house of Judah and save the house of Joseph. I will bring them back because I have compassion on them, and they shall be as though I had not rejected them." That promise reframes every act of exclusion not as abandonment, but as a compassionate redirection. Just as Judah and Joseph were drawn back into divine favor, you too are being called out of places that could never nurture your full potential. This is not an act of divine whim but a careful orchestration designed to rouse you from complacency and launch you into assignments that require every ounce of strength and vision you possess. In that turning point, rejection becomes a signal flare, marking the path to a future illuminated by grace. Even now, subtle shifts weave through their daily life, heralding the truth of this extraction. They may notice how drained conversations suddenly lose their grip, leaving them unusually calm in environments that once sparked turmoil. A sudden clarity might accompany a walk in the park, each breath feeling like a declaration of freedom etched into the wind. Ideas once buried beneath criticism now rise to the surface with the force of revelation. Projects that stalled in the past gain momentum without conscious effort. Opportunities long hidden begin to knock. A spontaneous call from a mentor, an invitation to a gathering that aligns with their purpose, a chance encounter that births collaboration. These visible and invisible signs are not coincidences but landmarks of divine timing, affirming that every drainage by past relationships was clearing the chokehold on their blessing. Behind the veil, spiritual currents are at work, clearing debris and reshaping their trajectory with precision and care. They might experience moments when a prayer they whispered in fear returns as a sudden solution, or when a door they thought was locked swings open with the gentlest push. Resources materialize like manna in a wilderness, and supportive voices rise where once all was silence. These synchronicities are not tests of endurance but the drumbeat of elevation, orchestrating a path that aligns with the deepest yearnings of their soul. Faith and manifestation converge here. Each act of trust releases more evidence of divine partnership, and each divine sign emboldens the faith that calls it forth. Their calling was never a lonely fight but a sovereign plan unfolding with cosmic precision. Yet knowing these forces are at play is only half the victory. They must now choose to step fully into the reality of this extraction. Many resist such radical change, afraid that leaving familiar surroundings will strip them of security or identity. You might hesitate, imagining yourself as a ship adrift without a harbor, or fear that the safety net of your past, however frayed, offers more comfort than the unknown ahead. But this is the sacred juncture where courage marries conviction. True alignment demands more than recognizing the signs. It requires embodying them with every fiber of your being. Just as a seed must rupture its shell to bloom, you must break free from the constraints of your history to discover the heights of your destiny. This moment asks for a vow to trust the pull that calls you onward, to embrace the glorious unknown without glancing back. Now that they recognize the gravitational force of their calling, it is time to activate their power and step into the new reality. They can begin by affirming each morning, "I am magnetically drawn to my destiny," letting those words set the tone for every thought and action. They might carve out sacred space each day, whether through meditation, journaling, or prayer, to listen for the subtleties of guidance, tuning their inner compass to the frequencies of purpose. They can sever ties to energy-sapping relationships with kindness and clarity, while opening themselves to connections that resonate with their vision. By aligning every decision with the promise of extraction, they reinforce the magnetic pull that lifts them beyond every draining environment. Each act of obedience to this call strengthens their resolve and accelerates the journey toward the assignments reserved for those who refuse to settle. In embracing this divine extraction, they reclaim the narrative of their life, no longer defined by where they came from but by where they are destined to go. Their journey becomes a testament to the power of sacred obedience, to the majesty of grace that lifts them from every toxic mire into realms of innovation, healing, and influence. They stand not as refugees of their past but as pioneers of a future crafted by divine design. Let this truth echo in your spirit. You are not running away, you are being called up, called out, and called into a purpose that transcends every horizon you once knew. Comment extracted if you feel this pull guiding you beyond every limit. Spiritual graduation. They know the quiet ache of unseen worth and unspoken truth, the way silence can feel heavier than any shout. You felt it too, standing in a crowded room, your vision blazing with ideas, yet hearing only the hollow echo of your own heartbeat. You've wrestled with the frustration of speaking words that fall into empty air, watching as others take for granted the wisdom you poured out in faith. You wonder, is my voice ever truly heard? Do my sacrifices mean anything beyond this moment of loneliness? You are not alone in these questions. This chapter matters because it marks the threshold where hidden crowns are placed upon those who endure without applause. What you're about to discover will shine a light on how silent perseverance transforms into spiritual graduation, revealing the deepest purpose behind every unanswered prayer and closed door. They have borne the weight of rejection's sting, the kind that cuts deeper when it comes from the very circles that should nurture their growth. You remember the sting of watching mentors turn away just when you needed guidance most, the disappointment of giving your all to projects that others claimed as their own, and the loneliness of standing for justice in halls where empathy was scarce. Those moments left scars. Early mornings spent questioning your worth, late nights wrestling with doubt, and an ever-present fear that perhaps your gifts were meant to flicker out before they could light the way. In the heart of that storm, you felt adrift, searching for validation that never came. Yet it was within that emotional crucible that the first seeds of your spiritual graduation took root, forging resilience and clarity where before there had been only confusion. What if every closed door and unanswered plea was not a sign of failure but a deliberate act in a divine curriculum designed to prepare you for a higher calling? In Isaiah 48 verse 10, a verse seldom pondered, the Lord declares, "Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." This passage reframes your trials as a sacred refinement process, where each hardship polishes you until the impurities of insecurity and doubt are burned away. As silver must endure heat to shine, so must you pass through seasons of isolation and testing to reveal the luster of your true purpose. That turning point, realizing that affliction was never arbitrary but a tailored workshop, ignites the understanding that your integrity and faith were being honed for the moment you would step forth fully formed. Even now, as you reflect on those silent seasons, you begin to notice subtle shifts, a whisper of wind that carries fresh ideas, a gentle spark of confidence where uncertainty once resided, the unexpected encouragement of a stranger who recognizes your worth before you speak a word. You feel new strength in your steps, as if every stride forward breaks the bonds of past limitations. In conversations, you observe that your words now carry weight, not because you seek attention but because the clarity born of your trials resonates with truth. Opportunities that once seemed locked away now open with ease, as if the universe itself responds to your inner transformation. These visible and invisible signs are not mere coincidences but markers of divine timing, aligning your journey with the grand design unfolding behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, unseen forces gather to clear your path, verifying that your struggles were not cruel tests but essential preparations for divine elevation. You might experience sudden breakthroughs in areas that felt stuck for years, or find that resources appear almost magically the moment you decide to step forward. Doors you thought sealed shut swing open, as if a master architect has designed them to yield precisely at the right moment. Relationships that once drained you now renew or release with grace, making space for alliances that mirror your refined purpose. These synchronicities are the fingerprints of faith meeting manifestation, affirming that your calling is not a fleeting dream but a reality underwritten by the same power that shaped stars. Yet all the signs and interventions mean little if you do not choose to fully embody this transformation. Many recoil at the idea of stepping into the fullness of their graduation, fearful that embracing it will demand sacrifices they're not ready to make, losing old identities, severing comfortable ties, and navigating the unknown without guidance. They cling to the familiar, even when it no longer serves them, because the safety of the past feels less daunting than the unpredictability of the future. But this is the sacred crossroads where true alignment requires a bold commitment, not merely observing miracles, but living them. Just as a butterfly must embrace its broken cocoon to take flight, you too must surrender outdated beliefs and relationships to soar into the realm of your highest self. Now that you recognize the spiritual architecture of your graduation, it is time to claim this new reality with unwavering confidence. Begin each day by affirming, "I walk in divine approval," and follow it with an act that honors your status, whether through focused prayer, meditative journaling, or creative expression that channels your refined vision. Let go of doubts that question your worth, and release fears that bind you to yesterday's patterns. Surround yourself with voices that uplift and echo your destiny, creating a fellowship attuned to your evolved frequency. Embrace decisions that reflect your graduation, choosing integrity over approval, depth over distraction, and faith over fear. Each step you take in alignment with these truths cements your progress and propels you into the next chapters of leadership and impact. As you stand on the threshold of this new season, carry this powerful revelation in your heart. Your spiritual graduation is not the end of a journey but the launch point of a legacy. You are no longer merely moving through life. You are being ushered into a role of influence and purpose that reshapes the narratives of every sphere you touch. The silent endurance that once felt like isolation now emerges as your greatest credential. Embrace this moment fully, for you are a graduate of unseen trials, crowned in silence, and equipped to lead with wisdom forged in fire. Comment "graduated" if you understand the weight and wonder of this unseen diploma. Breaking generational chains. They feel a tremor beneath their feet, as if the soil of their ancestry trembles with the echoes of unspoken legacies. You've sensed it too, the stubborn weight of inherited fears that whisper in moments of doubt, the silent pressure to repeat patterns no one taught you, and the restless longing for a freedom that seems just beyond reach. In those moments, you wonder if you'll ever escape the invisible vines that coil around your dreams, choking your vision before it can blossom. Yet you are not alone in this struggle. Countless chosen ones have walked this path, wrestling with the call to break cycles older than memory. Understand that this theme is the key to unlocking not just your own destiny, but the future of generations yet unborn. What you're about to discover will reveal how every act of courage in severing these chains reverberates through time, reshaping stories written long before you drew breath. They have known the sting of watching history repeat itself through family dramas that felt inescapable, as if each generation carried a set of instructions wiring them for suffering. Perhaps you recall the moments when anger flared in your home without warning, mirroring arguments your parents had sworn would never touch your life. Or recall the nights you lay awake listening to fears rooted in grandparents' traumas that never belonged to you but sat heavy in your chest all the same. You felt the weight of obligations passed down as curses, addictions that seemed inevitable, self-doubt taught by loved ones, and expectations so rigid they crushed every spark of creativity. Those experiences carved hollows in your spirit, making purpose feel distant and achievement feel like denial of loyalty. Yet in that crucible of confusion and inherited pain lay the first seed of a radical choice. The choice to walk a different path. What if every cycle you inherited was part of a divine syllabus, each pattern meant to be studied, then surrendered to make way for a higher calling? In Hosea 4 verse 6, a verse seldom explored, it is declared, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being a priest to me." This passage reframes ignorance of ancestral wounds not as destiny but as invitation. Your suffering was never meant to define you permanently but to educate you, to see the roots of pain so you could pull them up by the root. In that turning point, every hurtful echo from the past becomes a lesson in spiritual archaeology, digging into layers of lineage to unearth the lies that bind. Your resolve to embrace this knowledge marks the moment when freedom steps through the doorway of your soul. Even as you commit to this journey, subtle signs begin to shimmer in your daily life, heralding the dismantling of old chains. You notice how moments of anger that once flared up now pass like clouds over a clear sky, leaving calm in their wake. Patterns of self-sabotage, those automatic reactions that convinced you to settle for less, begin to fade, replaced by new impulses that celebrate your potential. Relationships that once echoed your family dysfunction either transform into spaces of healing or gently release you, as if the universe itself recognizes your need for renewal. In small victories, catching yourself before a negative thought spirals, refusing to pass on a harsh word, choosing kindness over criticism, you see the tapestry of transformation weaving itself. These are not coincidences but milestones of divine timing, aligning every detail to testify that liberation is real and within your grasp. Behind these shifts, unseen forces orchestrate breakthroughs with precision and care. You may experience moments when ancestors' shadows lift, replaced by ancestral guidance whispering encouragement in dreams or moments of quiet reflection. Synchronicities multiply. A book on breaking curses falls into your hands at just the right hour, an elder you respect shares a healing story you needed to hear, or a chance conversation opens doors to generational healing practices. These interventions are not tests of how much you can endure but confirmations that your struggles were never arbitrary but deliberate preparations for elevation. Faith and manifestation intertwine here, each breakthrough reinforcing your confidence to trust the unseen. Your calling, once clouded by inherited doubts, now glows with the clarity of a star born in darkness. Yet knowing these forces are at work is only half the journey. Now you must choose to embody this change fully. Many resist breaking lineage patterns because the unknown feels more frightening than familiarity, even when familiarity brings pain. You might hesitate at the thought of standing out from your kin, fearing isolation or rejection for refusing to perpetuate old mistakes. But this is the sacred moment of self-realization. True alignment demands not just recognition of the signs but wholehearted embrace of their implications. Like a phoenix that must burn its own nest before rising, You must allow discomfort and uncertainty to fuel your metamorphosis. This sacrificial step is not a rejection of your roots but an act of honor, clearing space for new branches to grow destined to bear fruit of freedom. Now that you recognize the sacred architecture of breaking generational chains, it is time to activate your role as liberator and pioneer. Release the guilt that tells you honoring your ancestors means repeating their pain. Instead, release the curse by rewriting the narrative with every choice you make. You can begin each morning with an affirmation: I inherit healing, not hurt, and breathe in the courage to live it out. Seek out mentors and practices, prayer circles, ancestral healing ceremonies, therapeutic modalities that resonate with your spirit and reinforce your resolve. Surround yourself with allies who celebrate your sovereignty and uplift your vision, forming a lineage of chosen souls committed to collective freedom. Each step you take toward liberation not only secures your own destiny but paves the way for every future generation born into your lineage. As you stand on the threshold of this newfound freedom, carry this powerful truth in your heart: breaking generational chains is the most profound act of love you can offer to your past, your present, and your future. Your courage to sever the vines of inherited pain plants seeds of hope in fields your ancestors only dreamed of. In every liberated breath, you echo down centuries, rewriting stories of bondage into epics of victory. This journey is not just personal, it is collective, shaping the destinies of those who walk after you. Embrace this revelation with unwavering faith. You are the liberator of your lineage, the herald of a new era where freedom is the birthright of every child yet to come. Comment liberated if you feel the power of this ancestral healing surging through you. Unshakable immunity. They know the tremor that runs through their soul when another's words feel like daggers aimed at their worth, when subtle jabs of guilt drift into their awareness and threaten to unravel their resolve. You felt that too, the sinking sensation in your chest when someone you trusted insinuates you're ungrateful, the tight knot of shame when a comment brushes against old wounds, the quiet dread that perhaps your light can be dimmed by the judgments of those who fear your strength. In those moments, you wonder if you ever truly belong, if your compassion and generosity were mistakes made at the expense of your own safety. You are not alone in this vulnerability. What you are about to discover is the secret to rising above every arrow of accusation and every clandestine attempt to control you, walking in an unassailable peace that no lie can penetrate. They have endured conversations where kindness was met with calculation, where generosity became a ledger in someone else's account, and where their goodwill was twisted into evidence of weakness. You recall the sting of watching your compassion exploited, of reaching out in empathy only to find yourself ensnared in expectation and obligation. You remember the nights spent replaying every interaction, replaying every smile as possible bait, wondering where your sincerity unraveled into manipulation. Those experiences left deep grooves in your heart, convincing you that trust was a privilege too easily weaponized. Yet within that crucible of coercion and confusion lay the catalyst for an immunity stronger than any man-made shield, a resilience forged in the fires of betrayal, tempered by the conviction that your worth is not hostage to another's agenda. What if every whisper of guilt and every attempt to shame you was never merely human cruelty but part of a divine curriculum to teach you the art of spiritual warfare? In Isaiah 54 verse 15, a promise seldom pondered, it is whispered, "If anyone does attack you, it will not be my doing. Whoever attacks you will fall because of you." That verse reframes every assault not as proof of your insufficiency but as confirmation of divine backing, an invisible hand turning arrows back on those who wield them. In that turning point, you realize that each act of manipulation was not designed to break you, but to train you in the mastery of an inner fortress. Your resilience is not born of stubborn pride but of a higher decree that proclaims your unassailable worth. Recognizing this shifts every jab from being a personal affront to becoming a stepping stone in your ascension. Even now, subtle shifts begin to ripple through their lives, heralding the dawn of unshakable immunity. They sense a change when insults bounce off their spirit like raindrops on a shield, heard but never absorbed. They notice an unexpected calm in the eye of relational storms, a clarity that emerges when others attempt to manipulate their emotions. In everyday moments, a difficult email read without trembling, a cutting remark offered as fuel for growth, an invitation to discord deflected with compassion, they recognize the blossoming of a new paradigm. Opportunities once stifled by the expectation of favoritism now flourish under the weight of impartial resilience, as if the universe itself rewards their steadfastness. These visible and invisible signs affirm that divine timing is at work, aligning every trial with the emergence of their true power. As they step boldly into this new reality, they carry with them the unshakable truth that no manipulation can touch them now. Their resilience is a testament to the power of divine decrees over human agendas, a living declaration that their identity is anchored not in the opinions of others but in the unwavering love of their Creator. In every interaction, they move from defense to compassion, from hesitation to confident action, their every breath a proclamation of freedom. Let this revelation echo in your spirit. You are not subject to the tactics of the fearful. You are a fortress of light unto yourself. Comment immune if you stand tall in this unbreakable faith. Initiation into new earth leadership. They feel the weight of a new dawn pressing on their spirit, a vibration that hums beneath their skin and quickens their pulse with both exhilaration and trepidation. You, too, may sense the subtle tremor in your heart as the world shifts around you, as if unseen hands are lifting you toward a landscape you have longed for but never fully believed was yours to claim. In the hush of midnight prayers and the quiet moments before dawn breaks, you have felt a stirring, a call to step beyond every boundary that once defined you. You have faced doubt, hearing the echoes of every past failure whispering that you are unworthy of this calling. Yet here you stand, recognized by a force that far exceeds human approval. This theme of initiation into new earth leadership is not a mere promise. It is the herald of a destiny that demands your attention now. What you are about to discover will illuminate how you've been prepared for this moment and why the mantle of leadership you wear is both a gift and a responsibility forged in divine fire. They have known the ache of stepping forward only to be met with skepticism, the lonely path of visionaries whose dreams outpaced the comfort zones of those around them. You remember the times when colleagues dismissed your insights as impractical, when friends labeled your ambitions as delusions, and when the very people you hoped would champion your cause became obstacles in disguise. Those wounds cut deep, convincing you that perhaps leadership and acceptance could never coexist. You bore the weight of carrying unspoken truths, struggling to reconcile the fire burning within you with the chill of external doubt. Every step felt like a trial, your resolve tested by the friction of fear and uncertainty. Yet in that crucible of resistance and rejection, your character was tempered, your vision refined, and your courage distilled into a clarity that no amount of disapproval could obscure. The emotional stakes of this journey are high because your willingness to stand alone here determines not just your path but the course of those who follow. Now that they recognize the contours of their divine commission, it is time to activate their power with intentional steps forward. They can begin each morning by affirming, "I am a new earth leader, and my vision shapes the future," letting those words set the frequency for every thought and action. They might cultivate practices that reinforce this identity, journaling the dreams that awaken their soul, engaging in contemplative prayer to stay attuned to guidance, or seeking out mentors who mirror the integrity and courage they aspire to embody. As they step into this new mantle, they carry a powerful truth in their hearts. Leadership for the new earth is not a privilege but a sacred responsibility, entrusted to those refined in silence and tested in fire. Their crown is not fashioned by human hands but by the weight of endurance, the clarity of vision, and the integrity of a spirit aligned with the highest purpose. Now, they stand ready to architect a future where compassion, justice, and innovation converge to birth a world renewed. Embrace this season, for the generation they lead will testify to their courage and foresight. Comment crowned if you feel the weight of this sacred mantle resting upon your shoulders. They feel a subtle hum of recognition as they stand at the crossroads of everything they have endured, the silent nights of prayer, the private victories that no one witnessed, the moments when they whispered their dreams to empty rooms. You know that hum too, the vibration in your chest that signals you are on the threshold of something far greater than the sum of your past struggles. They now stand at the gateway of a new era, their soul ignited, their purpose unshakable, and their crown shining brighter than any human accolade. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Rise now, chosen one, for the new earth awaits your royal decree.